this thing is hurting both sides. It's not that America's winning. It's not that China's winning. It's both sides losing. And what both countries are doing now is they're trying to inflict the most pain on each other, but in turn are inflicting the most pain on the citizens. I told somebody in the chat, they was like, Trap, won't you just say you a left-winger? I said, hey, bro, check this out. If I was a left-winger, you can't beat my ass. If I was a right-winger, you can't beat my ass. And I don't care if you unfollow me. What I think kind of pushed the market down yesterday was Trump really was pushing the idea of firing Jerome Powell, right? I think that was a huge catalyst to yesterday.
I got a question
for
the novice. He can do that? I'm about to say, he flexing on other stuff.
By law, he can't do it.
Oh, man.
Unless there's unless there's something really tragic to the economy, right? And so just the way he have these manipulative ways, I'm sure he can, because he fired two elected officials earlier, not long ago. And it was like, bro, you can't even do that.
He said, well, I did it.
I did it. So what happens, though, in that situation is if you give him the power to do that, then now nothing is off limits. Because the Fed is an independent dealer. You feel me? Yeah.
So for the people that don't know about, I guess, the relationship between Trump and Powell, if he gets rid of Powell, for example, right, what would that do to the market, and why is Powell so important?
Well, because if you fire Jerome Powell, then essentially what you do now is you have the power. So mind you, he put Jerome Powell in office.
Yeah.
Right? So he helped vote him in office. But what happens is if you fire Powell, if you fire him, they're an independent agency. They're not the government. The Federal Reserve is not a part of the government. Mm-hmm. It's an independent entity. So if you overstep those boundaries, and it's not like a, like I said, it's not a, event that's really, crippling America, then you then set the precedent of the type of tone we in, right? Because now you saying, hey, this man has guided us all these years, and you're saying, nope, I'm gonna get him out the way, and then you put somebody else in. They're not gonna trust him. Now you've now flexed your strength. And nobody, here's the thing, America is, so I'm gonna say this, and it's kind of crazy. America is supposedly a democracy, meaning voting matters. And so when you throw that out the door, and then that means you have superior power with everything that else goes on, it sends the market in chaos because now the markets have no structure, right? The markets have no structure. And one of the things you don't want, which is why the Federal Reserve was in place from the beginning, because you don't want the president setting interest rates or nothing like that. You want an individual entity doing that. He can only fire the Federal Reserve if it's in a state of an emergency. And it's truly just he's not seeing, it's like one of those, it has to be an extreme situation. And then even then, he can't just fire him. The Supreme Court would then have to come in and justify what's going on. So if he said, yo, you fired, the Supreme Court now has the right to come in and say, hey, that ain't right, put him back. So he would have to fire him through an executive order, and the Supreme Court would have to say, hey, we cool with that. So it's a whole thing that's going. But here's the thing, once you do it and it's done, that then becomes a whole process. So Tesla reported earnings. Bro, how these people beat earnings, miss earnings horribly, miss revenue horribly, lowers guidance, and the stock is up $12 after hours. They're the only company that could do that.
I told you last time that they had earnings, it popped a little.
Yeah, they're the only company that can do that.
It's crazy.
They are the only company that can do that. Bro, listen, I've seen Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, I've seen these people beat earnings, beat revenue, stock still falls. I'm talking fall bad. I'm like, bro, this dude, I'm talking about they miss earnings and revenue big, like by billions. I said, huh? I was like, what? And I knew it because I saw, like, once they missed, I saw the stock flirting between 1% up and 1% down. I said, oh, it ain't shoot down? Oh, it's gonna spike. So I just was laughing at that, bro. Like, how in the heck could, and in my mind, now, here's what he did say. He did say something that I knew that they like and that all his people wanna know. He did say that he will now be spending much less time with Dove so he can focus on Tesla. Tesla is now selling less cars, not just in China, but in Germany, Turkey, Europe. He's now selling less cars. And then they're saying the average EV, people are looking for EVs in the price of $25,000 to $20,000, and that's almost gonna be impossible for Tesla to create. Not to mention, 90% of Tesla's battery makeup comes from China. I didn't know that. So the whole while they were telling us that like Tesla's the least affected, but a huge part of their component of their batteries come from China. I didn't know that.
Very interesting.
Keyword for the day is embargo.
We gotta bring that back.
Embargo. Word for the day is embargo. The reason why I'm bringing that word up today is because today, Scott Bessick, if you don't know who he is Trump's right-hand man. He is the man that is now doing most of the talking. He said, the next step with China, we haven't talking, he said, we are gonna get closer to doing a deal with China in the near future. No one thinks the current situation and the current status quo is sustainable. With 145 and 125%, I would posit that over the very near future, this will de-escalate. And I think that should give the world and the markets a sign of relief. We now don't have a tariff situation. We more so have an embargo on both sides. So, Scott Bessick is the dude you see, white dude, glasses, talk real proper, not Peter Navarro, and not Howard Lutzke. Both of them are clowns to me. And so he said something that I like. And I think a lot of people need to hear that. This thing is hurting both sides. It's not that America's winning. It's not that China's winning. It's both sides losing. And what both countries are doing now is they're trying to inflict the most pain on each other, but in turn are inflicting the most pain on the citizens. Mm-hmm. And so my thing has always been like, I told somebody in the chat, they was like, Trap, won't you just say you a left-winger? I said, hey, bro, check this out. If I was a left-winger, you can't beat my ass. If I was a right-winger, you can't beat my ass.
People are so
You feel me?
into
And I don't care if you
politics.
unfollow me.
Right.
You feel me? Like, I don't care, bro. Like, you think because you telling me that matters. I say, bro, more than anything, bro, I like being an independent, but more than anything, my goal is just to put information out and you make your own decision.
Right.
Right? So what I be saying is, bro, like, this don't just hurt China. It hurt us too. And I keep saying this to people. It ain't that they need us. It ain't that we need them. They need each other. What happens is, bro, like China and America have this weird relationship. And it's a relationship like nobody else has. Right? So people be like, yeah, well, America go to Vietnam, bro. Vietnam can't produce half of what China does, bro. They don't have the capacity. They don't have the capacity to produce. Their market, their GDP is only $400 billion, bro. China is in the trillions. Think about that. They don't have the capacity. So the dope part about that is this, and I made somebody laugh when I said this. I said, the junkie don't need the dope dealer no more than the dope dealer need a junkie. And that's the relationship America has with China, right?
I had to run it in my
That
head.
the junkie needs the dope dealer, but the dope dealer needs the junkie. Because if the junkie don't have nobody to sell him the dope, he can't smoke. Because he ain't got enough to go to the connect itself. And the dope dealer, once you get it from the connect, you need somebody to sell it to.
It's mutualism.
It's a mutual, it's a relationship where they cannot leave each other. And what happens is social media has put the world in this place where you feel like there's people who saying China, China, China. There's people who saying America, America, America. And nobody not sitting down and say, hey, what's the facts here? Like, what's the facts here? That's why global trade is a thing. It's not just America. It's not just China. We are so connected. Watch this. If we beef, the crazy part is everybody feels it. Every country feels it, probably except for Russia, because they doing their own thing. Vladimir got some other shit going on over there. He doing something else over there. Yeah, leave him over there. Vladimir got something else going on over there in Russia, you feel me? But bro, everybody needs everybody. That's why trade is such a thing, and it's been a thing. And the reason why it's been a thing is because, watch this, they produce things that we don't produce. Right? And the glory of being in America is we have an appetite for everything. Right? Which is why America, watch this, America has more wealthy people than any other country. You might have some rich people but we got more people of wealth than any other. You got more millionaires, more billionaires than anywhere else in the world. Watch this. Our poverty in America don't even compare to poverty in other places. We got a different type of appetite. Mm-hmm. And so there are so many things you can say that ain't right with America, but there's so many things that you can say, yo, that shit fly.